I only married you because you were beautiful." Those cruel words came from my husband when I came home after giving birth to our twins. "I'm not interested in you anymore. After the pregnancy, you got uglier every day." Everything we had shared, our memories, our love, meant nothing to him now. It was like I had no value anymore, except to clean the house. "If you don't do what I say, I'll divorce you," he threatened. I was heartbroken, but I had enough. It was time to tell him the truth. I wanted to see how he would react when he found out everything. I smiled quietly to myself. "My name is Julie. I married my husband Stephen 6 years ago. When we got married, my father gave me some land and $50,000 to help us buy a house. He was happy for me. We used the money to build a house, and since my husband and I had good jobs, we could afford it. But instead of putting the house in both our names, it was only under my husband's. Now, 6 years later, I was finally pregnant with twins. After 4 years of trying to have a baby, we were finally blessed. We were expecting 2 boys. Being an only child, I never knew what it was like to have siblings, but I was excited. I was 6 months pregnant and feeling stable. At first, my husband and I planned to buy all the baby supplies together. But lately he had been too busy with work and kept delaying it. He worked late almost every night. Time was running out. I had to go back to my parents' house soon to give birth. If I didn't get everything ready now, it would be too late. That night, I stayed awake, waiting for him. He came home at 11:30 p.m. "Welcome home, Stephen," I said. "Yeah. What do you want?" "I'm tired," he replied coldly. "We need to buy the baby stuff soon. I don't have much time left before I leave for my parents' house." "I'm busy. Just do it yourself." But we agreed to go together. I said I'm busy. "But I'm struggling to make money while you're just sitting at home on maternity leave." "I'm not on leave because I want to be. I'm pregnant with twins, and we need to prepare early. You know that. Can't we just take one day to do this together?" I knew he was busy, but our babies needed things and I couldn't do it alone. "Please, Stephen. Just one day." "I told you I'm busy. Stop nagging." "Why are you acting like this? You're working late every day, even on weekends. What's going on?" "None of your business. Just tell me the reason. Why are you so busy?" "Shut up. You can just buy everything online." Then he pulled out some money and slammed it on the table. "Here, take this and get whatever you need." His words hurt me. I felt angry and sad at the same time. If he didn't care enough to do this one thing, then there was no point in talking to him anymore. I gave up asking Stephen to go shopping with me and asked my mom instead. A month later, the day came for me to go back to my hometown. My husband was at work. When I first got pregnant, he used to drive me whenever I visited my parents. But this time, he said he was too busy. I had no choice but to ask my dad to pick me up. On the way home, my dad spoke, sounding a little angry. "Stephen was supposed to drive you, wasn't he?" I didn't know what to say. "I heard he's been busy with work. Your mom told me you went shopping for baby stuff with her. Weren't you supposed to do that with Stephen?" "I told you, he's busy." "Even if he's busy, he should have at least made time for that." I asked him many times, but he kept saying he didn't have time. "I see." Dad looked like he wanted to say more, but I didn't want to talk about Stephen anymore. I stared out the window. He must have understood because he stayed quiet for the rest of the drive. A few months later, I gave birth to twins. I had been staying at my parents' house for 2 months. Today was the day I would return to my husband with our children. I should have been happy, but instead, I felt uneasy. Stephen never once came to visit me, not while I was pregnant, not after the twins were born, not even for a single day. I called him many times, but his answer was always the same. "I'm busy. I don't have time." I was beyond angry. My parents were furious too. They tried calling him several times, but he never responded. On the way back, my dad sighed and spoke again, this time with a little irritation. "If you go back and realize you can't live with him, call me. I'll come get you anytime." "Thank you, Dad. That means a lot. You're the one who chose him, so I want to believe he's not all bad. But his attitude is unacceptable. I'll have a talk with him when we get there." "Okay, but I don't know if he'll even be home." "I don't care. I'll wait until he gets back." "Thanks, Dad. Maybe if you talk to him, he'll change a little." With that small hope in my heart, I prepared to face my husband once more. I returned home with my father. It had been a month since I last came here. When I put my key in the lock, something felt off. It wouldn't go in all the way. I tried again and again, but the key wouldn't fit. The lights were on inside, so I knew my husband was home. I rang the doorbell. Then I heard a woman's voice. A moment later, the door opened and a woman I had never seen before stepped out. She looked confused and asked, "Excuse me, who are you?" I frowned. This is my house." She looked surprised. "What?" "My husband and I live here." She hesitated, then said, "My husband bought this house 2 months ago." 2 months ago? My voice rose in shock. Then, as if she suddenly remembered something, she gasped. "Oh, are you Stephen's wife?" "Yes." "How do you know him?" "My husband bought this house from Stephen. They worked together." "What do you mean he bought it?" I asked, my heart pounding. She explained, "We had a baby last year and needed a home. We were planning to build one, but Stephen offered us this house for a good price. We paid $50,000 up front, and the rest will be in installments. Of course, you already know this since you're his wife. I'm sorry if this is awkward." My father and I exchanged shocked looks. This was no accident. Something was seriously wrong. Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, the couple living in my house, kindly gave us time to figure things out. I immediately called Stephen. "Hey, Stephen, what the hell is going on?" I demanded. "Oh, you're back," he said casually, sounding annoyed. "You housekeeper. Leaving for so long and not doing your chores. What a joke." I gritted my teeth. "Just tell me why someone else is living in our house. Did you sell it? Are you insane?" "So what? The house is in my name. I can do whatever I want." "Huh?" My hands shook with anger. "Where even are you?" I demanded. "I'm at the Hilton with my girlfriend. Here, I'll send you a picture." A message popped up on my phone. It was a picture of Stephen, cuddled up with a young woman, looking like a happy couple. I stared at the screen, frozen. I couldn't believe what was happening. Then my husband hit me with a cruel truth. "Look, I only married you because you were pretty. But now, I don't care about you anymore. Ever since you got pregnant, you've just gotten uglier." "What? Are you serious?" "Yeah, that's why I started dating someone else. You got fat and bloated." He didn't even try to hide it. "Anyway, from now on, I'm going to live with her. And you're going to be my housekeeper." "Housekeeper? Are you joking?" "I'll send you my address. Hurry up and get here." He hung up and sent me the location of his hotel. I couldn't believe it. A deep rage burned inside me. I clenched my fists. Beside me, my father was trembling with anger, his face red with fury. Mrs. Patterson, the woman who now lived in my house, looked at us curiously. I turned to her and asked, "Is your husband home?" "Yes, he is," she said. "I'd like to speak with him. Could you call him, please?" "Sure, one moment." When Mr. Patterson arrived, I showed him the photos my husband had sent me. Then I told him everything. His reaction was immediate, shock, then rage. Stephen's girlfriend was his coworker. Mr. Patterson was furious. "I can't forgive him," he said. His wife agreed. As parents, they couldn't accept what Stephen had done. Just as I was about to call Stephen again, my phone rang. It was him. I took a deep breath and answered. "What?" he yelled. "Hey, are you gonna keep me waiting forever? Eat over here and make us dinner." I spoke calmly. "I'm not going to be your housekeeper." "What?" "In fact, I'm offering you a job to be my housekeeper. If you don't like it, I'll divorce you." "You don't know anything." "What?" "You heard me. Actually, I do know something," I said. "The Pattersons are suing you." "What?" His tone changed immediately. He sounded nervous. "Suing? Why?" "Because you lied to them." "What are you talking about?" "I didn't lie. I sold them the house at a discount." "Yeah, you stole the house. But what about the land?" There was silence on the other end. Then a weak voice. "What? No way. The land? Remember, the land isn't yours. It's in my father's name. We never had to pay for it because my father allowed us to live here. But now that you sold the house, he's going to charge for the land. Did you tell the Pattersons that?" My husband stuttered, struggling to respond. I continued, "My father said that if someone else lives in the house, they have to pay for the land. But the Pattersons told me you never mentioned that." Well, Fats, there's only one solution, I said coldly. Either you buy the land from him or you pay for it every month. By the way, they said they would sue you if you don't pay for the land. For fraud, you know. Fraud? My husband's voice shook. No, wait. I don't have that kind of money. You got $50,000. That should help for a while. I already spent all of it. I used it for the hotel and vacations with my girlfriend. Please, Julie, help me. Ask your father to give the land to the Pattersons for free. Even now, after everything he's done, he refuses to take responsibility. He's still trying to use me to fix his mess. I feel so disgusted that I can't even speak. He keeps begging. Hey, Julie, are you listening? I'll leave her. I'll help raise the kids. Just please ask your father to do something. Mrs. Patterson spoke up. Your husband is begging. What will you do? If Stephen had come to see me and the twins even once, things might have been different. But instead, he sold the house without telling me. He used the money to stay in a fancy hotel with his mistress, and he treated me like nothing more than a housekeeper. I had no sympathy left for him. Anger burned inside me. I let it all out. You selfish jerk, you think I'm going to help you? After everything you've done? Do you have any idea how much I've suffered because of you? And now you expect me to forgive you. Julie, wait. Calm down. Calm down? You cheated on me. You sold our house behind my back. You spent all the money on your mistress. And then you had the nerve to tell me to be your housekeeper. You've got to be kidding me. I'm done with you. You are nothing but trash. I don't need you in my life anymore. Stay away from me. I ended the call and blocked his number. The only thing left to do was divorce that pathetic excuse of a husband. After that, Stephen apologized to the Pattersons, but they were on my side. They told Stephen they would sue him if he didn't pay for the land. In the end, he had no choice but to buy it from my father. That solved the problem. I hired a lawyer to file a case against Stephen and his mistress. I demanded alimony and child support from him. Of course, he had to leave the Hilton. It seems his mistress broke up with him too. Mr. Patterson told everyone at work about Stephen's affair. His mistress couldn't handle the shame and quit her job. Stephen lost the respect of everyone around him. He became completely alone. But he had so many payments to make that he couldn't afford to quit his job. For a long time, most of his income will go toward paying off his debts. He won't have the freedom he once had. As for me, I moved back to my parents' house. I explained everything to my company, and they let me work remotely. So I was able to start working again without any trouble. My children will grow up without their father, and at times that may be difficult. But I will give them all the love and care they need.